Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgie, and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about My Dress Up Darling chapter 92. So, what did I think about this week's chapter? In all honesty, I thought this chapter was great. It was very cute, it was very wholesome, and it had all the, servings of a typical My Dress Up Darling chapter, which is a good thing because, we got a lot of character development with Gojo, as well as we got to see a lot of cute stuff with Marin, and who doesn't love seeing that? I mean, we all love Marin, and it was great just seeing them to interact because they've been kind of busy doing their own thing, their own side task and why not. So it was just good seeing them just kind of vibe and have a nice wholesome time overall. Now, before we go any further with this week's chapter, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Dress Up Darling as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's chapter. So this week's chapter picks up where we left off pretty much last time, which is, Marin, she got all that outfit that Gojo was asking her to get, and they're testing it out. And a nice little side note that I wanted to mention was that it was the 5th year anniversary of My Dress Up Darling. So we've been blessed of having this amazing series for the last 5 years, and hopefully another 5 more years to go because this series has been fantastic and I very much have been enjoying it so far. But continuing along, we see that pretty much Marin and Gojo, they're hanging out and they're testing out the clothes that they got, and Gojo's asking Marin like, hey, are these clothes tight? Are they feeling good? It's like, no, they fit great. And Gojo's like, cool, that's awesome. So then Gojo just pretty much tells Marin like, hey, I'm sorry for having you, go through all this trouble of, being pretty much getting all these materials and why not, I'm so sorry. And Marin's like, don't sweat it, it's all good, dude. Like, no worries. And what does Marin do? The queen that she is, she just doesn't say it's okay. She also brings chocolates to her man. Ladies, if you're paying attention, get chocolates to your man, okay? That's the best place to get to their heart. So Marin, she once again proving why she is the queen, the one on top of everybody. She is the GOAT, okay? And I don't want to ever hear anything but that. So Marin supremacy, I believe in that, and I'll stand by that till the day I die. Now, pretty much what happens is Marin is just like, yeah, I got chocolate, and Gojo's like, awesome, sweet. And Gojo's very happy, and it was a very cute scene. You see Marin all happy, and I just love Fukuda's drawing of Marin whenever she's happy. It just puts a big smile in my heart. And what happens is Gojo sees the chocolate, he's like, here you go, Gojo, take them. And Gojo's like, whoa, this is heavy. And then Gojo starts realizing like, oh my god, it is Marin after all. And you just see that she gave him like a family size amount of chocolate. And it's like, Gojo's like, oh my god, how am I supposed to eat all this, dude? Like, she just gave him like probably, what, 20 pounds worth of chocolate? Something along those lines. Like, Gojo is gonna have a triple bypass surgery by the time he's done with all that chocolate, okay? Because my man, he's gonna be tapped out. My man is gonna have to be rushed to the ER if he were to finish all that chocolate. Now, pretty much after that, what happens is Gojo, he's by himself, and he starts thinking like, man, like, as he's making these fingernails, he's like, this looks good and all, but I don't think it's gonna look as good as, the guy that created Highlight Bell. And he starts thinking all this stuff. He's like, man, like, he starts second guessing himself. He just keeps thinking like, I don't think this is good enough. If there's no source material to this, like, it's very hard for me to, none of this is like, realistically like designed. It's all over the top and crazy. Like, I don't know how to do this. And he starts second guessing himself a lot, and he starts questioning like, am I gonna be able to do this? And he's cramming for time because he's like, time is ticking, and the more he struggles with this, the more time passes, which means the less time he'll have to work on it. So he's very stressed out. Like, my man is very, it's giving me a flashback of the first arc of My Dress Up Darling, where Gojo had to rush to make the Shizukutan in one day. And I feel like even after all the training that he's got, he's still struggling, and I appreciate that because it shows just Gojo how determined he is to improve himself, as well as that he's not perfect, he's flawed, and he still needs to figure out some things, like, and I really appreciate how Gojo, every time we see him in a scenario like this, he strives and overcomes. He doesn't just settle and say, no, I can't do it. No, he overcomes, and he manages to adapt to any situation. And I just think that all of this that we're developing is very important in characterizing Gojo as a whole. And I think this will be, important going down the line when it comes to, the progression of the story. Now, continuing with that, we see that eventually Gojo, he's getting stressed out. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go take some fresh air. And he goes outside, he walks around, And he starts thinking about like stuff that Akira has told him about the author, and he's like, man, like, you know, this guy seems very hard. Like, this dude is very critical, and he doesn't like anybody's creation of his own creations. And Gojo really starts thinking like to himself, like, how am I gonna draw this character in my sketches before I make the rough draft? Similar to how the author makes it, because I don't know what to do. Like, this guy hates on everybody's work, and he's kind of at a crossroads because he's trying to figure out what to do. And I understand where, you know, because he doesn't know anything. Like, he's going in this blindly, and I feel like this is his biggest challenge to date. And what ends up happening is that eventually he goes to this grocery store, and he's kind of like, you know, kind of trying to clear his mind, and he bumps into some energy drinks, and he starts realizing, like, he starts having like a little recap of, you know, when it came to him and Marin and how they had to make the succubus outfit and, you know, the Rizuku. And he starts, you know, thinking of himself as the person, the character in that little manga. And eventually he's like, you know what, I can't give up. I gotta keep persevering and striving. So he brings a bunch of energy drinks, and my man just chugs them all down. And you start seeing some panels from, you know, the Halle Bell story where, you know, it's like, you must devour all your enemies. You cannot, you know, fall down. You gotta keep going until you'll defeat all of them. And I think this was a metaphor in the sense that Gojo cannot give up. Like, he has to strive until he succeeds in making this perfect cosplay. And how's he gonna do that? By busting an all-nighter like previously. And Gojo just kind of chugs these drinks. Like, he just non-stop chugs them, and he's gonna pretty much force himself to stay up, at least from what I understood, till he figures this out, because this is something that's been bugging him for a couple of days. And I think that this is something that he cannot just, you know, sleep off or just kind of forget or put in the background. Like, he needs to confront this, and I think that, you know, this is going to be confronted right now at this very moment. And I think that by the end result is that, you know, he's going to realize, because of all the creations that the creator of Halle Bell has done, none of them, you know, he likes. And I think instead of Gojo trying to follow, you know, his own footsteps of the guy, like, he's gonna make his own pathway. He's gonna make his own liberties when it comes to the cosplay, because he did that with the Rizuku. You know, he didn't 100% do it to a T, because obviously you couldn't really do it because it was a very simple animated style, translating it to a 3D, you know, three-dimensional character. And I think that Gojo is going to take a similar approach, because I think he's going to take a lot of, like, you know, liberties in the design and, you know, what artistically would fit better in a real world setting. And I think that what might happen at the end of the day when they do see this mangaka at the Comet convention is that, you know, maybe he even compliments Gojo, like, whoa, how did you think about this design? Like, oh my god, this actually would have looked better if I thought of this design. Or he could just be like, you know, I'm pissed off, like, no, this is unacceptable, how dare you tarnish my legacy, and, you know, just be a real jerk about it. But in all honesty, I think Gojo has to just, you know, go with the flow and just be like, you know what, I gotta take my own approach to this. I gotta make my own liberties when it comes to this cosplay, because I got no source material. And we already seen what happened before. He did a successful job with the Rizuku, so it stands to reason that he would do the same thing with the Halle Bell. And if anything, I have a feeling that he would actually make that cosplay look much better in a 3D dimensional real world, opposed to a, you know, manga / light novel. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of chapters, you know, Gojo cracks the code and he eventually, you know, finally makes the cosplay and we see Marin wearing it, and it looks fantastic. Overall, I really enjoyed this week's chapter, and I just think that this series has been fantastic up to now, and I really appreciate Fukuda's, you know, hard work when it comes to this manga. And, you know, she really, every time I see her artwork, it just, for me, I don't know about you guys, it keeps getting better and better, and I think that's a great sign for any artist as a whole. And I love her writing style, and I just think this series has been consistently awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter. But with all that being said, what did you think about this week's chapter? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys think it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more My Dress Up Darling, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.